Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylina and I am the Hex Witch, and today I have a topic that I'm very excited about talking about. I've been getting back into reading again, and so I've read a couple nonfiction books, and the one I want to talk about today is a term that I am not super familiar with but have read a book on now, and that would be Starseeds. So stick around. So today I want to talk about starseeds, and this topic is actually extremely interesting to me, and I had no idea about it until I read these couple books that I've read crammed in the last week. So I'm going to put the title probably right up here because this one actually happened to be on Audible, and so because I had a couple credits to use up. So it's called The Beginner's Guide to Starseeds, and so we are going to talk about them because they are actually incredibly fascinating. So, what are starseeds? Starseeds are actually extraterrestrial beings that have decided to come down onto Earth to live a human life. They have usually very specific purposes when they come down here to help heal the planet and to help heal the people living in it and to help them raise their vibration, so to speak, so that the Earth can be the best that it can be. Starseeds look like any normal human being, so just by looking at them you would have no idea that they're actually not from this planet. They're usually very empathetic to animals and humans alike, and usually have a deep connection with both of them. So the meaning starseed comes from star, meaning that these beings come from the stars in the cosmos, and then seed, meaning that they are here to help us grow. So there are many different characteristics that the different starseeds fit into, and there are also different family lineages of different groups of starseeds as well, which I will go into a little bit later. But as far as different characteristics go, they usually don't love rules. They don't like being strapped down. They maybe sometimes will have commitment issues because there's so when they come down, they don't remember what their mission is. They don't remember who they are because before they come down, they agree that they want to have a true human experience. So they forget everything. And I'll explain more about that later. But so they don't tend to love rules. They have very deep intuition. They're very peaceful people, and they don't tend to love conflict, although they will speak their mind and they will speak their opinions when they feel it is needed. So, like I said, each starseed has a mission. It usually has something to do with healing the Earth or healing its people. And like I mentioned, they forget their past life because they want to understand us better, so they have a truly human experience while they are here. So it is not uncommon for the first 2 decades of a starseed's life for them to have no recollection of who they are, what they're here for. So it can kind of be hard for starseeds in their first years of their lives, like when they're in their in their 20s and or younger, because they feel like they don't quite belong. They can face depression and sometimes even have a straight out mental meltdown before they are awakened, and they kind of have an idea that they have a for sure purpose here. It's very interesting. They tend to be extremely purpose-driven, and they know they are here for a reason, but sometimes they don't necessarily know what that purpose is. But they do have this weird sense of homesickness, and I found this particularly interesting because the first book that I read, there was only just a little snippet of what starseeds were, which is how I even came across the term in the first place. But then, and I'm not saying that I am a starseed, but that sentence of feeling homesick, I could relate to that because I've actually told people around me before, especially when we're talking about spirituality and in particular death, that I'm not really afraid to die because I feel like this is not my home and that I, belong somewhere else. So I've said that on a couple different occasions. So I'm not saying, oh my God, I'm a starseed, but that would be pretty cool if I was. But which is why I'm probably so interested in this subject, is just to see maybe it's possible. I don't know. I definitely know which one I would be if I was one. But anyway, I definitely want to read even more on the subject because it just really struck a chord with me. But it's as if they just know that they're from somewhere else. In general, they are extremely connected to the cosmos. So whether it's studying astrology, learning about their horoscope, or even just staring up at the night sky, they just are very obsessed with the stars and the universe. Now there is one group that isn't so much, but I'll talk about that more later when I go into the specific groups of them. So special abilities, which I will go into more detail as well later, they have a lot of different kind of special abilities. So it's not uncommon for them to have at least one of the clairs that are super like prominent. And when I say clairs, I mean clairvoyant, clairaudience, clairsentience, all the clair senses. So the psychic senses in a sense. They have very strong intuition, which I think I mentioned before. Their dreams are incredibly vivid. So their dreams are so vivid at times it may feel like they're actually traveling to different places or different dimensions. They also have a very keen interest in metaphysical topics, and they tend to be extremely creative. They also have a lot of interest in like science, all different kinds of science, because they have a deep interest in learning whatever they can. So they come from all over the different galaxies, and like I mentioned before, their star lineage is the spot where they were originally born. You have a lot of different kinds of starseeds. So you have your Pleiadians, your Sirians, your Orions, your Andromedans, Lyras, and Octurians. And so I will go into detail a little bit more about each of those here in a minute. But something that they also talked about in this book was in astrology, there's a term called the Age of Aquarius. So if you don't know what that means, that is supposedly this new enlightenment time that is either in the future a ways, or it may be kind of happening, starting to happen maybe now, but we still have a long way to go. But the Age of Aquarius is all about people finally reaching like an enlightenment state. So it's almost as if we're going from 3D beings to 5-dimensional beings, and the Starseeds are supposedly here to help us with that transformation. So in the Age of Aquarius, you're going to see technology at its all-time high. In fact, it may be so high that we might be able to actually create new species of plants and animals. It's going to be that advanced. You're also going to see wars cease. You're going to see people start caring more about each other as well as the planet. Like, it's going to be a whole shift in consciousness, and it's going to like send us into this new era of healing, so to speak. Communication with other galaxies are going to be possible. Like I said, we're going to change from 3D to 5D dimensional beings. We're going to be from carbon creatures to crystalline creatures. Like, it's going to be this massive change. Colors are going to be more vibrant. Events and people are going to be more beautiful. Like, it's going to be a change. Now, however, this is going to be a slow change. So that's why I said I almost feel as if it's maybe starting kind of now, because you are seeing a lot of shifts in people, right? Like, you're seeing a lot more issues being talked about that need to be resolved. So it's definitely a time of thinking and challenging what we thought we always knew. But it's going to be a slow process. It's not just going to happen in a day, a month, a year, maybe even a decade. Like, it's going to be a slow process. So the different Starseed missions are all about like self-realization and actualization. So self-love is extremely important. Meditating, and how you may awaken is going to be either through meditation, a traumatic event of some sort. As I've mentioned before, awakening is not always like this beautiful experience. In fact, most of the time it's actually quite painful, because the way the human body works is that sometimes we are just comfortable staying in the same spot that we've always been in, unless something literally pushes us out of our comfort zone. And sometimes it can be quite painful. And I have realized that, because I finally awoke like 4 years ago, and I'm still trying to fully develop everything. which star awakening is not just a concept for starseeds. I mean, anybody can become like awakened to their third eye, to being, you know, in the fifth dimension at times, to develop your psychic senses. Like, that's all stuff that every human being can do. Oh, I hear my little crow friend. He's cawing. He's been here like a lot when I've been sitting outside. Anyway. So usually it takes some kind of event to become awakened to the fact that you are a starseed. And so how will you know? So there are different ways that you can become awakened, not just a traumatic event, but that is one of them. You could maybe potentially learn from the news or media. Maybe this video might kind of get your wheels turning. Maybe some of these things that I talk about are going to sound extremely familiar to you. A near-death experience, meditation, by creative expression even. You can be born knowing that, but it's extremely rare. Like I mentioned, most of the time they just forget who they are until a little bit later in life. And sometimes you may never learn. So there's only about 10 to 20% of starseeds that will actually find out that they truly are starseeds. So you may never know. So a big thing that's super important to starseeds is all about self-love and self-healing. Obviously, they are here to help human beings rise their vibration, help them live their true authentic selves, in hopes that it'll be a domino effect. You know, everybody living their true authentic selves or automatically mean that people are going to be much happier. You know, they're going to want to help each other. They're going to be happy in their lives. They're going to be living their purpose. You know, there is nothing worse than that thought of not knowing who you are or what you're here for. And I feel like everyone goes through that at some point in their life where they're just like, what is my purpose? Why can't I feel like I fit in or belong anywhere? And it's because you maybe just haven't found it yet. You haven't found your niche or your reasoning for being here. And it's not a good feeling. I've been there, done that. Not a good feeling. I just watched my husband kind of go through that too, and I think he's finally coming out the other end and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So because before birth they agree to live a full human life, it's not uncommon for starseeds not to know what they are on their mission for the first couple decades of their life, like I mentioned before. For the first cycle of life, they may actually feel quite depressed, quite alone. They may even have like a mental breakdown before they discover who they are. It can actually be quite distressing to them because they just don't know what their purpose is, and they just feel kind of alone and that they don't fit in. The next phase is kind of about fulfilling their mission. So once they've awakened, they know that they have a mission and they start fulfilling it. So it's most of the time, like I said, around helping the planet and the people. They are here to share their gifts with everybody, and by living that true authentic self, they kind of spread this infectious goodness towards everybody that they meet. And then the last phase that they usually go through is death, just like every other human would. Since they are living a full human experience, they will experience death. And so after death, the soul can either pick to come down again and live another lifetime as a human being, or they can become like a trainer for another starseed, an angel, a guide, or they can go back to the galaxy or star that they originally came from. And it says that their death can either be like natural or it can be like kind of requested. Now please don't get me wrong, like that's not meaning that you take your life because you decide one day you're a starseed and you don't want to be here anymore. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they request to go home, and you know, then maybe a natural death occurs. Like, that's what I'm talking about. So please don't like get me wrong on that, because you know, that's a very serious issue. So, but anyway, so there are a lot of different other characteristics that starseeds kind of fall under. So I'm going to read off of some of those, and some of them I've already mentioned. So they tend to be very, very creative. Their empathy is extremely high, and they sense the emotion of others. Generally interested in other people's journeys. They're highly skilled listeners. They have an affinity to animals, and animals love them back as well. Empaths are different than empathetic. So I just wrote that down because you can be empathetic to people and kind of, you know, feel bad for somebody who's going through something, but an empath is actually somebody that will feel that person's emotions, like as if they are their own. So if somebody starts crying, like you'll start crying and you'll like feel the intensity of their emotions as if they truly are your own, which is why being empathic is sometimes very challenging, because you sometimes can't differ your own emotions to what you're feeling around you. So that's why protecting your aura and your energy by, you know, grounding and shielding is very important. So like I said, they don't feel like they fit in. Being in a human body is difficult because, as you'll kind of learn later, a lot of these beings, I mean, they come from planets where they're extremely agile, they can fly, you know, like they're very athletic, and then to be plopped here in a human body, it's an adjustment for them. They're often vegetarians and vegans because they don't like to use animals for food. They love the environment to a fault. Can be found in thrift stores because they are very ego cautious as well. They want to do everything they can to lighten the carbon footprint and to save the planet that they are here to help save. Being social can sometimes be very difficult for them. They usually have a small niche of friends, and large groups of people kind of tend to overwhelm them. They do or can have more of like a social impact or presence online. And they have an extremely strong will to succeed. So other unique abilities, like I talked about, they have usually their clairsenses. At least one of them is very developed. So your clairsenses are going to be clairvoyance, which is the sight, clairsentience, sense of feeling, clairaudience is sound, claircognizance is sorry, my battery died on me, so I put a new battery in. So anyway, we're talking about the different clairsenses. Clairgustance is taste, seeing and feeling auras. They can sense different auras and energy of people. Past life memories, manifestation, dowsing and scrying. They usually have a talent for that. Telepathy, channeling, intense, enlightening dreams, vivid dreams. Wake up between the times of 2 and 4 very often. Lucid dreams, interest and understanding of metaphysics. And I'm not saying you'll have like absolutely every one of these. I'm just saying these are common traits that people, you know, will have. And so in this book, they also give you like little quizzes to see like what grouping, if you are a starseed, which one you're most likely to be. And they also do a little quiz to see like if you actually have the traits to be a starseed in the first place. And so now we're going to kind of go over the different groupings of them, and be patient with me because I did write kind of a lot of notes, and I probably will be kind of reading off of here because I don't remember each of them like word for word what they are. But your first one that you've got are the Pleiadians, and this is actually the grouping that I ranked highest on. Like if I were to be one, this would be the group that I would be a part of. And so these beings are your most recent arrivals, so they have not been around for that long. They tend to be very loving. They want to better the earth and humans. Their constellation comes from Taurus. Sani is your brightest star in the Pleiadium. Younger souls in the star system, they can time travel through the 3rd and 9th dimension easily. Sacred place is the heavens, according to Native Americans. Believes we will return there when we die. And they tend to feel like everybody will return there when they pass. The Devil's Tower in Wyoming is said to be like a sacred place for these beings. So you're Nordic. So what they look like, they tend to look kind of Nordic. They have light eyes, hair, fair skin, Well-defined cheeks. They can be fairly tall, and they have like a glowing energy, and they tend to be connected highly with the heart chakra, which I also find interesting because my massage business I named after the heart chakra because I am very connected with the heart chakra, and this was before I read any of this. I've had my massage business for, you know, probably around a year or two at this point, so, but I named it after the heart chakra, so found that interesting as well. They are kind of here to help people with the next step in human evolution. They love the earth and they're extremely protective of it. They love nature. They love animals. Strong connection to the heart chakra. Strong desire to heal others. Weak throat chakra, however. They can have self-confidence issues as well, but they have very strong intuition. Would rather live in their daydreams than live in reality. They have a really hard time with like the darkness of the world. So watching the news, seeing sad stories, they have a really difficult time with that because it actually like hurts them to see that. They're very empathic and they're natural healers. So next you have your Sirians. These are highly intelligent. They live on Sirius, water-based planet, or water-based star. Sorry, they all come from stars, not planets. I don't know why I keep saying that. Stars. They can be really good as like alchemists and protectors, guardians. Their brightest star in the sky. Sirians look like lion people, feline beings, mer people, bird people. They tend to be teachers, masters of science. Their interdimensional pathways to travel, believed to help build the pyramids, love the water. People are drawn to their energies, feel emotions deeply. They keep their guard very high though. Quiet personalities. They can sometimes be loners, but they absolutely love to learn. They have very high morals and are extremely dependable. They tend to be the people that you say have old souls. Lots of fantasy. They love the fantasy for some reason, like fantasy books, fantasy TV, anything in that realm because it reminds them of home. Highly spiritual, wild imagination. They can sometimes be a little bit ADHD. So if you have ADHD, this could be you. They get bored very easily by our world. They have a good sense of humor and great storytellers and healers. They are kind of here to help with body positivity. They are here to help you be more courageous. They're very strong. They're resilient and warrior-like. Strong-willed, stubborn, hang on to past wounds, hard time breaking habits. They have issues with the solar plexus, our power source. They are trendsetters, however. They tend to be very popular and bold, attract many friends. They tend to be leaders, people watchers. They have big ideas, but can sometimes have the savior complex. They enjoy life, lovers of food, don't mind hard labor. They can be a little bit of know-it-alls at times. They love to study and they're very independent. So next you have your Orions. And so some of the smartest starseeds in the galaxy, they're very logical, strong desire to learn, came from the hunter star Arian, came here to help us align with the universe, here to help work out their karma. Piercing blue eyes is how they're described, and they could usually typically look like the little gray aliens. Very masculine or very feminine, or a combination of both. They can live anywhere in the galaxy that they want. They have duality of light and dark, so they connect with their solar plexus chakra. Just like any being, you can be light and dark, but majority of them are here to like be helpful and to help us. Next you have your Andromedons. They are highly intelligent as well. They like to shake things up. They can be very rebellious, but they love to travel. They hate rules. They are widely loved. Andromedons, they come from the planet Andromedon. 25 dwarf galaxies within it. They are protectors, teachers. They're seers as well. Masters of time. They're very wise, embracing death. They're 3rd and 12th dimensional beings. They can look however they want. They can have wings, light beings, no physical traits. They can be very free spirits, get bored easily, don't love commitment or big decisions, love to travel, want to live alone, be self-sustainable, and potentially even live off-grid. They don't like injustice, and they love to empower others. They're very holistic, so you might find these starseeds doing Reiki, massage therapy, yoga. They are good advice givers, can be a bit in your face, and can be a little bit self-critical, and they are great communicators. Then you have your Lyrans. So Lyra constellation is where they come from, and this is the oldest in the galaxy. They're very confident, they're leaders, they love to inspire others, feel their best in nature, they're very bold. They can be a little bit clumsy because I believe these beings are feline or lion-like in nature, or elfish. So on their planet, they're extremely agile, but here, being thrown into a human body, they might be a little bit clumsy and a little bit awkward because they're not used to living in this form. Lyrans are actually the first ancestors of the Palladians, so to speak. So they may be like one of the oldest ones out there. They come from the 9th dimension. They're very proud people, and they're here to help humans with self-confidence. They love science, want people to love learning, work best alone, very caring teachers, have great memories, photographic memories, can be know-it-alls, hold opinions, very curious, overanalyze everything, very sensitive, easily overwhelmed in large groups. They sometimes repress their emotions, and they can have trust issues. They're strong solar plexus chakra. They can be intimidating and unapologetic, need validation, and they are definitely the type A perfectionists. They are detailed and organized, competent, competitive, and very witty. Next, you have your Arcturians. So this is a very strong and powerful group of beings who are great storytellers. They don't like being tied down. Arcturians from the Arcturus star system lives in the Boreas constellation. They are very advanced beings. They are entirely blue, and they come from the 5th dimension, and they can go through the 11th dimension. They can be energy or light, expelling negativity. Scientists, explorers, and healers communicate in codes using light, good at communication, problem solvers, tied to their throat chakra, very expressive, opinions on literally everything. They can be big debaters, and they kind of like to argue with people, but they also have this funny magnetism to them as well. So they are very sensitive to the other senses, so light, sound, touch, feeling. They're all very sensitive to all of that. They're wise beyond their years, very empathic, don't like when people whine, protective qualities, suppress their emotions. They love freedom and world travel, don't like being in one place. They're very energetic, like to move from place to place, love being accomplished, feeling like they are always right, can remember past lives, psychic knowing, strong sense of purpose. They can change the energy around them, and they're very philosophical and problem solvers. So those are the different groups. So like, how do you meet your star family, so to speak? Like, what can you do to maybe interact with them? So with the star beings, they're not going to just come to you, because they're actually very sensitive to how we feel, and they don't want to like scare us or give off a bad kind of reputation. You have to kind of do the initiating first, and then maybe they will communicate with you. So you have to be pretty strict with your intention setting. That's going to be a very important thing to do, is setting that intention of where and when you want them to communicate with you. And don't be surprised if it doesn't work on the first try. It may take some practice to communicate with them. You can communicate with them through deep meditation, through dreams and sleep. You want to set a certain time frame so that you're both on the same page. You can use a prayer or a mantra. decide a specific location as well to meet them. You know, when a peaceful place where you're not going to be disturbed, where people aren't going to be coming in and bothering you, where you can kind of calm down, rest, get comfortable, play music, you know, go into a deep trance. Like, that is going to be your best bet probably. It's going to be really important that you clear your mind, make sure that you aren't distracted. And then know what you want to know. So, like, what questions do you have for them? Do you want to know your purpose down here? Do you want to just know for sure that you're a starseed? Do you want to know what starseed lineage you're from? Do you want just some wise advice from them? What do you want to know? Have your questions kind of ready at hand. In the book, it did say that they tend to be the ones that talk more and you just kind of listen. But if you have some questions in mind, it's probably not a bad idea to have those ready. So meditation again pops up. You're also going to want to make sure that when you do make contact that you verify that they are of the light and that they are good beings. I'm not saying that you're gonna, you know, have to really fear and come into contact with a lot of negative beings, but if you are putting yourself out there, there is always that chance that something negative will try and take advantage of that. But it is said that spirits cannot lie, so just make sure that you are verifying that they are from the light. And okay, so apparently my camera does not like being outside because it is way too hot and so it overheated. So we are going to finally try and finish up this video. So like I was saying, make sure they are from the light, or you know, I don't always like using light and dark terms because every being is of light and dark. Like we have a mixture of it, and that goes for every single being that is out there, but just making sure that they have the best intentions at heart for you and that they aren't trying to take advantage of you. So that's what I mean by that. Not necessarily that it's light or dark magic, because I don't, or white or black magic, you know, like I don't usually like that term because we are a mixture of both. So, but you're also going to want to make sure that you write down what they say, because odds are you may not remember everything unless you write it down. And last but not least, some of the stuff that they tell you may make no sense at all in the current moment. It may take a couple days, weeks, or even years from now before you finally kind of have that light bulb moment of knowing what they meant. So make sure that you record everything and that you're diligent about that, because you're going to regret it if you don't. But other than that, that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed learning about starseeds. I find that subject just fascinating. It's so interesting, and I definitely plan on reading more. I already found a couple other books that I would like to read about the subject as well. So if you like my content, be sure to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell so that you can get all my fun videos every single week, because I try to put them out every week. With that said, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next time. Bye.